Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Nexus 2.0 and I am back with a new fanfic part 1. The fanfic title is What If Naruto Walked into Hinata's Cafe and Everything Changed part 1. I hope you enjoy this fanfic, and if you enjoy this, so don't forget to subscribe my channel. Now let's start the fanfic. The snow has always fascinated the people who resided in Konoha Leaf, and to 21-year-old Hinata, this was no exception. Cotton ball-like texture filled the dry streets, coating them with a beautiful white color. The sun is hidden in the sky by the puffy clouds as more flakes gracefully fall from the sky. This time of year has always been one of Hinata's favorites. It meant that the holidays were drawing near, and it always seemed to bring out the kindness in people. It seemed to feel like everyone tries to reset their lives before starting the new year to get a fresh start. It's almost like New Year's resolutions in a way. People saying how they are gonna spend less money, how they're finally gonna start going back to school, how they're finally gonna lose some weight. Yep, that's mostly what occurs every year. Not that Hinata minds, as she knows that her job is gonna be booming with customers wanting to get their hands on their authentic, organic and yet bland-tasting diet tea. Currently working as a barista in the cafe known as Kuma Café, which the mascot is, just as the name indicated, a brown bear with a blue scarf and hat while holding some green tea in a small cup. For the most part, Hinata enjoys her job and her work. She's fortunate enough to work alongside her favorite coworkers, which are also her best friends since forever. Sakura and Ino also happen to work her shift, which happens to be 8 to 5, so she gets to experience the rush in the morning and during lunch hours. Also, she gets amazing tips from her loving customers, mostly men of course. Now it was no shocker that to work in the cafe one had to have a certain character to them, one of them being comfortable enough to wear the uniform with came to being a maid outfit, with the difference being that the girls wore a black apron with the mascot in the center, as well as dark brown fuzzy headbands with the bear ears sticking out. Although this apron was helpful to those women who didn't carry much of a chest area, to Hinata it merely did the opposite. Sakura and Ino noted her assets as her secret weapon, meaning she could use them to her advantage in snagging some more tips. At first, Hinata was reluctant to such an idea. Like, isn't that the same as stealing? It's not if the guys are willingly giving it to you. Ino informs her that day where they were first discussing the subject. Out of the three girls, she was the most boisterous and also the most daring. She had her specific customers who would only want her as their server. She had long blonde hair and eyes as blue as the sky. She was always welcoming the customers with such eagerness that it made them feel like she truly wants them around. Ino's charm was her voice. You have a gift there, Hinata. If only I had some melons like yours, I'd use them to my advantage. Sakura adds as she gives Hinata's left boob a poke, earring an ep sound from the girl and her face flushing a tiny bit. Sakura was the strongest out of the bunch, her hair pink giving off the meaning of the beautiful cherry blossoms that bloom in Konoha every year. Her eyes coated in an emerald color almost like a precious jewel. Her attitude and her hair had the store sometimes with a bunch of men standing in outside. Her fists are remarkable that once she left a hole in the wall since someone tried touching her butt. Her not caring attitude and her quick desire to argue or what have her customers obeying her need. That was Sakura's charm. It's almost like these men have some sort of weird fetishes. I'm just not sure if I would know how to use them correctly. Hinata admits as she stares at her chest. Sure, it isn't the first time that someone's commented on her chest, but for her to purposely use it to gain money seemed almost wrong to her. Come now, Hinata. You know that you need the money. Ino whines as she takes hold of her hands and grips them. The tips here are great. And also it could help you with getting through school. Crap, why did Ino have to bring up school now of all times? However, indeed, some extra money could benefit Hinata and get her through classes. Currently enrolled in Konoha North University in her second year of classes, Hinata won't lie in saying that she struggled a lot in the first year of SCH. With tons of calls to her father about how she could borrow money for this and that. She remembers her dad telling her things like, a community college would have been all paid for, or, Didn't you get a full ride to a 2-year instead of a 4-year? Or even like, you're 21 years old Hinata, still asking your father for money I see. Studying criminal justice in Kono North is not only difficult but also very expensive. And she only saved up 5K from her jobs in high school thinking that she had everything prepared and that she was a long step ahead for getting to the struggling line. But boy was she highly mistaken. In a way it pained her to see that she was constantly being a bother to her father, and also that it turned out that in the end, she hadn't matured at all. She was still the same 10-year-old who always depended on others to solve her issues and never did anything for herself. That was the reason why she had asked Sakura and Ino if their job was hiring. It wasn't, but since the boss knew that both girls were amazing workers, she didn't hesitate and open up an extra spot for her. She was extremely grateful for the friends that she has. At first, she struggled in the job only because she's always been a shy person, but after already working a year she was not only learned to open up a lot more, but she's made lots of good money that she hasn't need to ask her father for anything. She paid for all her classes the first semester on her own, and she just paid for the next ones this semester coming up. All she needs is to get some extra money for her books, and whatever is left over she'll put it in her savings account. That's been Hinata's routine for the past months. Work, save money, spend money on schoolwork, work some more, go home and do homework, work again, then sleep. She's used to this routine and so far she's been fully content with it. It sure is busy today. Sakura comments as she and Hinata are both wiping down tables as they watch Ino welcome a group of new customers into the cafe. I agree, I love this time of the year though. Everyone is always in such a giving spirit. Maybe they'll be willing to give up their credit cards so we can do some early Christmas shopping. Her pink-haired friend whispers into Hinata's ear, earning a giggle from the girl as Ino welcomes two groups of customers to the two now clean tables. Alright gentlemen and ladies, have a seat and either Sakura or Hinata will be willing to assist you, Ino informs as she leaves the two girls to attend to the people. At one table sat a couple while in the other sat two men. Now of course Hinata knows that tips are a priority, but sometimes she likes building a connection with her customers. She lets Sakura have the group with the men while she makes her way towards the couple. Hello there. I'm Hinata and I'll be your server today. Can I interest you all in our special, or will you be ordering off menu? She makes sure to make eye contact with them and gives them her undivided attention as she hands them the menu. Hello Hinata. I'd like to have your diet tea please, and for you honey. The young woman asks her lover as she takes a hold of his hand and holds it gently. The man nods and closes the menu. Sorry, everything looks good to me. I'll have your maple apple crisp tea, and can we have 2 of your strawberry crepes? Hinata nods as she jots everything down in her notepad. The young woman gives a pout as she smacks his hand lightly. Babe, I told you that I'm starting on my diet. She complains. The man laughs. I told you honey that you look beautiful as you are. Isn't that right, Hinata? Not knowing that she was gonna get dragged into their cute discussion, Hinata is eager to join in. I completely agree, you're already beautiful. If you want to do anything, make sure it's something that will bring you joy. She states as she smiles. The girl bushes at all the attention that she's receiving. Well, if you insist. She says. Awesome. I shall return in a few with your drinks and food. Their server adds with a smile as she returns to the counter and with Sakura and Ino start preparing the orders. That's cute how her boyfriend said she was beautiful as is. Quote. Ino comments as she starts cutting up the fresh and plump strawberries from the fridge. I agree, you could tell he loves her. Hinata replies as she removes the hot steamy tea bags from the white marble ceramic cup. He reminds me of Sasuke. Sakura sighs as she gazes dreamily at an unknown source. I'm pretty sure Sasuke would tell you to gain weight rather than lose some, Ino whispers with a teasing grin, earning a wrapper to be thrown at her playfully by the pink-haired girl. No one asked you, Ino. Sakura adds with a laugh, causing Hinata to join in. This is pretty much how the 3 girls spend their working days, chatting happily behind the counter and making jokes. As well as them talking about their boyfriends. Well, Sakura and Ino, by the way. Hinata is the single one out of the three. Now it's not that she's always been single, she was in a perfectly serious relationship with her high school sweetheart for 2 years. Both were very much in love and Hinata knew that he was the man she could spend her whole life with. However, he left out of the country for college and out there managed to snag a new girlfriend. It's not like they had problems or anything. She always texted him, "Good morning, how's your day? I miss you and love you." And, "Good night." She didn't notice how after the days passed he stopped saying, "I love you," back, nor that his replies would be days later and the excuse would be, "Sorry, I was busy." It wasn't until Valentine's Day rolled over and she was expecting him to come to visit, as both had talked about less times. He had made her drive to the airport. It was the first time she went all out in her appearance, having Sakura and Ino curl her hair, dress her up, and do her nails. She waited for 2 hours before she received that text message. "Hey, I wanna break up. I already have a girlfriend here." No explanation, no heads up. She called him and he didn't answer, and the next day he even had the nerve to block her. That devastated Hinata and made her dread the holiday like seriously. On Valentine's Day. Since then Hinata has moved on and she's been on a couple of dates with the much pleading and begging of her friends, but all those men were not what she was looking for in a relationship. As of now, she's perfectly fine in being single for the time being. Also, she's able to dedicate all that extra time to her studies. Alrighty, you too. I hope you find everything tasteful. Please let me know if you need anything else. Hinata gives her customers their food as the couple nod and thanks to her for her generosity. Without even tasting the tea first, the girl doesn't give it a second thought in digging into the strawberry crepe sitting on the plate in front of her. Tilda, this is delicious. She squeals as her boyfriend laughs and takes a bite himself. "I knew you were gonna like it. This place has the best crepes in my opinion." The man turns to Hinata and nods, "And we're blessed to have sweet Hinata as our server, babe. How lucky are we?" The girl adds in agreeance, "Hinata, thank you so much. This is so yummy." Blushing at the shower of compliments, Hinata waves her hands, "No, not at all. The pleasure is all mine." The girl then goes to taste the diet tea, and you could tell that the face she makes is when you're trying hard to not say how bad it tasted. "How do you like that diet tea now?" the boyfriend asks with a teasing smirk. Well, this is good. You just need to get used to the taste." The girl struggles in response as she tries to take more sips. Hinata smiles sympathetically as she walks and kneels to the girl and whispers in her ear, "This will stay between you and me. How about I make you a different diet tea instead, hun?" The girl nods quickly as she hands Hinata the cup and watches her walk away. "So," the boyfriend starts, interrupting the girl's relaxed sigh, "I guess going diet means giving up on some good flavor." He chuckles as his girlfriend's face goes red in embarrassment. "Babe," quote, that after all the customers leave as the girls start their closing duties to end their shift. "Phew, today was busy." Ino explains as she stretches her arms apart and releases a big yawn. "I agree, but we pulled through. Good job, girls." Sakura adds in as she brooms the solid floor of any leftover crumbs. "We had some good customers today, most were very friendly." Hinata says as she makes her way to the table where the couple from earlier sat. As she starts picking up the plates, she sees the receipt but with some green sticking out of it. Setting the plates on the cart, she picks it up and pulls out a $100 bill. Her white eyes go wide in shock. She's never flat out received a huge bill like that before. This, she thinks out loud, earning the attention of her friends. What's wrong, Hinata?" Ino walks toward her and nearly screams at the scene, "No way. Hinata, someone gave you 100 tips." Sakura, hearing this, runs to the table and has the same reaction. "Holy shit. Dang, Hinata. What did you do?" Sakura asks. Hinata shrugs and is surprised herself. "Nothing that would make anyone tip me this much, I thought," saying as she sees a note on the receipt. All three friends take a look and the note read, "Hinata, Thank you so much for how you treated my girlfriend. She's been feeling self-conscious about her body lately and I wanted to show her how much I love her as she is. You made that happen today and she left with the biggest smile on her face, which is all I want to see. I know this doesn't come close as a thank you, but I hope you know that you are a very special person. Happy holidays. Ah, that's so sweet. Ino says along with Sakura, who nods. You made them happy, Hinata. Both friends notice the silence in their other friend, and when they look up their eyes go wide and a small frown appeared on their lips. Hinata. Both say. Tears were streaming from the dark-haired girl's eyes as she struggles to find her words. They're both so in love. He loves her so much. It's so heartwarming and she's so lucky. Hinata allows herself to be hugged by her friends as she continues to cry silently. Later that night in Hinata's apartment, she sits on her balcony looking at the pearly white flakes that never stopped falling all day. Her friends kept texting her asking if she was okay. She reassured them that she was fine. She just had a moment is all. She was overcome with emotions that she couldn't control the tears anymore. Even though Hinata doesn't portray it, but sometimes it does pain her to see all the lucky couples in love and she's stuck by herself. It's not that she's lonely, she just hates spending the holidays alone without her special someone. I mean, there's someone for everyone, right? Maybe I'm just meant to stay single, she adds, and suddenly hears something meow at her. Giggling, she picks up the orange feline and rubs its ears. Sorry, Tama, a single cat lady to be exact. Tama purrs and shows what appears to be a smile. We'll just spend the holidays together, just you and me. Why should we bring some boy who will only cause trouble for us? You're the only man I need, Tama. The cat nods and snuggles against the girl's chest. Tama purrs and shows off what one could assume to be a smile. We'll just spend the holidays together, just you and me. Why should we bring in some boy who will only cause trouble for us? You're the only man I need, Tama. Hinata explains with a heartfelt smile. The feline nods and snuggles against the girl's chest. The next morning, Hinata wakes up and sits on her bed rubbing her eyes frantically. Man, I feel like I barely slept. She thinks out loud as she climbs off the bed and walks sluggishly towards the bathroom. She brushed her teeth and uses her mouthwash to give her breath that extra freshness. She spits the water on the sink and looks at herself in the mirror. Her long indigo hair was all over the place from the tossing and turning of last night's sleep. Her lavender eyes were red from the soap and water that she just bathed them with. A hot mess. All right, Hinata. Today is a new day. This means we leave yesterday's events in the past. You're going to have a great day today. Giving herself the motivation for the day, Hinata goes and finishes her morning routine. Meow. Tama walks next to her as she's in the kitchen preparing her breakfast. He gives her knee a good purr, earning a giggle from the dark-haired girl. Good morning to you too, Tama. You ready for your breakfast? She asks as she picks him up and makes her way to his bowl. It's already prepared for you. Now eat up. Tama quickly digs into the cat food as his orange tail swings from left to right. A soft ringtone rings from Hinata's cell phone as she goes to grab her jacket from the closet in the hallway. It's that time already. I better get going. She takes a bite from her PB and goes to give Tama a nice loving head rub. Tama, you behave yourself now. I'll be home by dinner and don't wander off too far, okay? She tells him. Tama looks at her and gives her a nod while giving into her hand and purring once more. Good boy. Smiling, she gets up and makes her way out of the door. As per usual, the Kuma Café was experiencing business as regular. Ino and Sakura asked Hinata once she arrived if she was sure that she was okay. Guys, I told you I'm fine already. Today's a new day, she tells them. Yay, but Hinata, we're just wanting to know if you're okay. Sakura adds in. It warms Hinata's heart at how serious this seems to be to her friends and how they both truly care for her. But they need to let it go. Guys, I'm serious. I truly appreciate your concern, but I'm doing good. She reassures them once more. Her friends seem to have been in a mental debate on whether to believe the dark-haired girl or not, but eventually, both girls nodded and smiled. Okay, Hinata. We believe you. Ino says. If you say it's okay, then it's okay with us too. Sakura adds in. Not wanting to make her eyes go watery for 2 days in a row, Hinata wipes her tiny tears and hugs her friends. Both girls are surprised at the random action from the girl. You two are the best of friends that anyone could have, she admits softly. This time Ino and Sakura are the ones in shock and are left speechless for a second. Then they both with much honor return Hinata's hug. No, we're lucky to have you as our friend Hinata, Sakura says as she rubs part of her hair. We love you and we're always gonna have your back, Ino adds in as all three girls enjoy a moment of love and silence. It's difficult not crying when both her friends are saying beautiful things to her, but she must be strong. After all, there's no crying during the holiday season. It's quite steady today, I've noticed, Hinata mentions as she's brooming the dining room. Yay! As Christmas draws near, most people stop coming in since they're all buying gifts, Sakura adds as she's folding napkins on the counter. And not to mention the festival, which is only a few days away, Ino states as she's wiping the tables down. Speaking of festivals, Sakura starts with a smirk as Ino catches up and both girls look at the other only person in the cafe. Hinata, already noticing where this is heading, starts making her way to the back of the counter. I already know what you're both gonna say and I'm not interested. Ah, come on Hinata, Ino whines. It's just one date. What's the worst that could happen? Sakura chips in. Giving both girls a playful glare, Hinata raises her eyebrow. Remember the last time I went on a date with one of the guys you both suggested? She reminds them. Kankuro said he would have gone on another date with you. Sakura defends along with Ino, who nods in agreement. I'm pretty sure he would, since he was trying super hard to get a kiss from me on the first date. The lavender-eyed girl rolls her eyes as she giggles. Hinata, you need to take charge and start getting back out there again. You don't wanna be alone on Christmas, do you? Ino says as she leans towards Hinata's face, giving her an intense stare. That's sweet, Ino, but I won't be alone. I knew you'd come around, Hinata. You won't be dis. I'll be with Tama. Ino freezes in the spot as if like a stone. Sakura pokes at the blonde girl to get a response, to no avail. Hinata, you broke Ino. Sakura laughs. Tama is the only guy the first need. Hinata continues boasting about her cat, not noticing the uncontrollable twitch in Ino's eyebrow. The damn cat. The bell of the cafe stops the girls' conversation in their track. A young man with stagnant movements makes his way inside the cafe. Welcome to Kuma Cafe. All three girls welcome the guy, expecting the same love-struck reaction that all men get whenever they enter. This particular guy, however, seemed to be ignoring them. He didn't even say hi back. I'll give him a piece of my mind, Sakura says as she's cracking her knuckles and starts to make her way towards the table. A hand stops her in her tracks. Hold up, Sakura, I'd say we let Hinata handle him. Ino smirks, shocking the dark-haired girl. Me, how come? She asks curiously. Because you have a way in talking to people. He obviously seems to be upset. Go work your charm and see if you can maybe snag a phone number in the process. Ino whispers to Hinata as she shoves her towards the table of the man. Ino. Hinata whispers back, not really wanting to talk to someone who looks scary. I mean, who comes into a store looking like a dead man and not even greeting back when spoken to? Alright Hinata, remember that you're at work and you still need to make tips. Taking deep breaths, Hinata takes the chance to capture the young man's features. Wearing dark wash blue jeans along with some white sneakers, a black hoodie with orange stripes and blonde spiky hair which looked like he just rolled out of bed. He was in a bad shape. Yay, I'm definitely not asking for a number, she concludes as she's now standing in front of the man. The man has his hands on the side of his head while looking down at the table. Hello there, I'm Hinata and I'll be your server today. Can I interest you in our special daily tea? She asks the man, automatically getting into character. There was no reply. Would you like to try some of our crepes? I assure you that they're quite yummy. She asks again, this time her voice raising just a bit to receive once more no reply. Is he not feeling good? Is he maybe sick? Hinata starts to get concerned for the young man, maybe he wasn't feeling too good. But then what could she do? Turning to her friends to get some input, she shakes her head and raises her shoulders. Both friends shush her to get closer to the guy, which Hinata doesn't want to do. He looks like he doesn't want to be bothered. Even so, Hinata takes pride in her job and she loves making her customers happy whenever they come into Kuma Café. So, she's determined in making sure this guy leaves with the same content smile as everyone else. And the remedy for that is some freshly brewed hot tea. The fresh aroma enters the nostrils, bringing a positive setting wherever you may be. The hot liquid warms the body, making one feel comfortable and relaxed. The sweetness of the tea hugs the taste buds in all the right places. That's sure to help the young man out. Hinata makes her way toward the counter, leaving the man who still hasn't made any movements since he's arrived. Ino and Sakura make their way towards her, curious as to what she knows about the strange mute man. He hasn't even moved, Sakura says as both she and Ino watch Hinata prepare the tea. You think tea will help him finally have some class and speak? Ino comments, unsure about the idea. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe that he would just walk in here for nothing. After all, we still need to keep our customers happy, right? Hinata asks, silencing her friend's worries. And besides, our Roman chamomile tea is the perfect tea to ensure relaxation. Taking the hot steaming tea from the kettle and pouring it into a cup, Hinata then makes her way back to the young man. Hello again. I bought some of our delicious tea that will be sure to help you relax, she says with a bright smile. Again, no response. He's not taking the tea. She thinks as she starts to assume that maybe this man is more than just sick. Could he be having a mini heart attack or having a seizure? Question mark. This could be serious, and she hasn't even ensured if this man was even truly okay. She feels bad at her selfishness in wanting to only snag a quick tip from the guy. This time she inches closer to the blonde-haired man and asks if he's okay once more, to only receive the same response. None. This is bad, maybe I need to be more insisting. Getting a bit more closer to the point where she could almost be hovering over him, with her free hand she hesitantly places it on top of the man's shoulder, giving him a light shake. Excuse me, are you okay? She asks once more. She hears what appears to be a form of audio coming from the man as she leans her ear to listen in. Go. I'm sorry. Hinata leans a bit more, trying to get a clear hearing. And he says in barely a whisper. Go. Suddenly, before Hinata can blink, the young man raises as if he was just now waking up from a deep slumber, and he finally spoke in a clear and audible sentence. Kanako, don't go. His quick motion had his left shoulder bump into Hinata, causing her to tumble backward along with the still hot tea in her hand, which was now covered over her currently soaked apron. Although the liquid never got on her, a good chunk did get in her left hand. Hinata. Both Ino and Sakura come running towards the scene as they check the fallen girl for any severe burns. Blinking in alert, the young blonde man looks at the scene before him, unsure of what was going on. He scratches the back of his head. Is everything okay? You. A voice says, and before the man could process, someone grabs him by the collar. You got some nerve making Hinata fall like that. Now apologize. She glares at him, shaking in fear. The blonde looks at Hinata, who is being helped up by Ino. Sakura, it's okay. I'm fine. Hinata reassures her. In not wanting to upset her friend, Sakura reluctantly lets go of the blonde man. Okay, fine. She makes her way back next to Hinata and crosses her arms. The man says as he coughs in, regaining his composure. Hey, I'm sorry. You're not hurt, are you? He asks, embarrassed. I'm fine, don't worry. Hinata reassures him, not before Ino takes her hand, much to Hinata's dismay. Don't worry. Thanks to you, her hand is burnt. This causes the man to slump his shoulders and look at the hand in pain. I'm really sorry. I didn't realize. You're gonna have to pay for the tea and the damage to Hinata's hand, Ino adds in. If you hadn't come walking in here like a creep, then we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Sakura says. Hinata looks at the blonde man who's finally standing and looking at her. His eyes sad with guilt and embarrassment, but there's an even more sadness in his eyes, which are cerulean blue. Almost like the ocean. She understands that her friends are upset and she may even be a bit irritated herself, but it's not right to gang up on someone like that. Especially a customer. Guys, let's not argue anymore, shall we? Her words stop everyone in their tracks as they all look at her. With a loving smile, Hinata looks at the blonde and says to him, "At least I was able to get you to finally speak even without the tea." Her friends sigh happily and smile at her, knowing that Hinata is always one to see the positive in every negative. The blonde man, however, stares at the girl in a shocked gaze as he smiles a bit with a chuckle. "Well, ya sure did," he says. Moments later, some other customers started entering the cafe, cause Sakura and Ino to be attending to them. Hinata wanted to assist, but they both assures her that she needed to ice her hand for a while and to not do anything else. In the meantime, she sat at the far table by the cafe gazing out the window watching the pretty snowfall. "It sure looks pretty. I wonder if I were to put my hand in a pile of snow if it'll make the pain go away." She thinks out loud, not noticing the footsteps that are walking toward her. "Is someone sitting here?" A voice makes Hinata turn to see the blonde-haired man from earlier standing in front of her. "Not at all. Go ahead," Hinata tells him with a smile as the man nods and sits in front of her. Both are quiet for a few minutes, not sure what to say, until Hinata decided to break the silence. "Are you feeling a bit better now?" she asks him. Chuckling, the man points at her hand. "Me? I should be asking you that. I appreciate your concern, sir, but I'm perfectly fine. I was worried that you were gonna have a heart attack," she explains with a giggle. "Yay, about that," the man starts to say, bringing the playful atmosphere to a more serious one. "I was upset and I sort of zoned everything out. Did I do anything to offend you?" Hinata wasn't sure what has this man with such a painful expression in his eyes. Sure, he was smiling, but it seemed almost forged in a way. "No, of course not. But you did speak at some point. You called out a name," she manages to say to the blonde, catching his attention. "A name? What was it?" the man asks her. Now Hinata doesn't quite remember since everything happened too fast. "I'm not sure I remember, but it was between Kana, Kaiko, Kimiko." She stops as she sees the man look at his hands sadly. "Was it Kanako?" he asks in a soft voice. Hinata nods in agreement. "Yes. Who is that person?" she asks as the man looks back at her, and Hinata's shocked to see small tears forming in his beautiful ocean eyes. "She's my, well, ex-girlfriend now." Hinata nods in response as she listens to the blonde. "Yes, that's correct. If I may ask, who was that person?" She watched as the man looks at the table and sighs, and looks back at her. Her eyes go a bit wide in seeing what looked like tears beginning to form in her eyes. "She's my, well, ex-girlfriend now." "Your ex-girlfriend?" Hinata repeats it once more in making sure she wasn't hearing unnecessary things. Her thoughts were corrected when the blonde nodded. "Yay. She broke up with me moments before me coming here. I've heard about this place and was planning on bringing her here for a date until she wanted to stop somewhere, and that's when she said that she couldn't do it anymore, that she didn't want to be with me," the man says while looking at the table. Hinata sympathizes with him as she understands perfectly how he's feeling. I'm truly sorry about that," she says lowly. The man looks at her and shakes his head. "Hey, it's no biggie. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it now, you know." He seems to be saying this as a form of convincing. But to whom? "All I can do is wish for her to always be happy no matter who it's with." This time he says it low, and this causes the lavender-eyed girl to feel angry at his ex-girlfriend. Why did they break up? He seems so sweet. Maybe there's something else to this story. She thinks to herself as she smiles at the blonde. "Well, it says a lot of you still wish for her happiness," she says with a smile. "Yay. I suppose it does." Hinata nods and smiles once more as she sees Ino and Sakura motion her behind the counter. She excuses herself from the young man as she wonders what her friends could want. "Do you two need my help?" She asks them as she's suddenly pulled closer towards the two girls. Both had a smirk on their faces, eyes narrowed as if they finally mastered the difficult plan. Hinata has a bad feeling about those stares. Well, you seem to have been having a pleasant conversation with Mr. Mute. Ino comments as she leans toward the Hyuga girl. What do you mean, Ino? Hinata asks stuttery. We mean that you two seem to be very comfortable in your little corner. Sakura comments as she leans in as well. Gee guys, you got it all wrong, Hinata explains as she's being cornered by both girls. They always seem to make a huge deal out of the simplest things. Oh, do we? Ino replies. Yes, you see Hinata goes on in explaining how the man was just dumped before coming to the cafe. Both girls were not expecting that to be the reason for the man's odd behavior on the first encounter. Well damn, that's harsh, Sakura comments somewhat sadly. Poor guy. And he's not even that bad looking. Ino says loudly as Hinata and Sakura quickly cover her mouth. Hinata prayed that the young man hadn't heard them talk about him, that wouldn't be right and it would make her feel bad. Quickly taking a peek at the outside, she still sees the young man at the table, but he's looking at the window now. Sun-kissed skin that didn't seem to turn white even though it's been snowing since last month. His blonde hair brought life to the pearly white walls that surrounded him. Eyes that resemble moving waves were so sad as he stared at something unknown outside. And he seemed to have whiskers in his cheeks. Was it a form of a tattoo? Even so, it looked good on him. This man was indeed handsome as Ino had mentioned, but it saddened Hinata to see him so down. It reminded her of the time when she got dumped. She was depressed for a good while and she shut herself in her home and didn't go out but merely distracted her mind with books and making tea. Wait a minute. Tea. Hinata, how are you so stubborn? Sakura complains as Hinata is now preparing the all-famous Roman chamomile tea meant to relax the body and calm the brain. You do notice that you already burned your hand, right? Ino adds in. Rolling her eyes, Hinata removes the tea bag from the cup and places a small wooden spoon. Will you two stop worrying? He wasn't even able to taste this since he was all upset. I promise that I won't burn my other hand. She smiles at them as she makes her way to the main lobby. As she makes her way towards the man, she sees that he still was looking outside. Poor guy, even if his experience here started roughly, it could at least end pleasantly, right? She thinks to herself as she's finally standing next to him. She coughs softly, which seemed to have gotten the man's attention as he stands up carefully this time and touches the plate with the teacup. Huh. Hinata's caught off guard as she looks at the man. He smiles at her brightly. Let me help. I don't want to risk you burning your other hand, he says with a slightly teasing tone. Heat rushed to the server's cheeks a little bit. Tea, thank you, that's sweet, she says as she makes her way to her seat. So, I've heard roughly about the teas here. They have magical powers that truly help people. He starts to babble as he leans closer toward the girl, causing her to slowly back away with the heat rushing back to her cheeks. Is time a bit more? So, is it true? He asks with a smirk. Wow, he's really handsome. Hinata thinks before quickly erasing her thoughts away. That's no way to think of a customer. Well, that's not true, she says before noticing the disappointment in the guy's face. Oh no. Quick, Hinata. Think. She did not want this man to get all down in the dumps again. Well, we do tend to put our love and affection when preparing our teas, so I believe that those feelings that we give our teas are what our customers feel whenever they see us, Hinata says with a loving smile as she looks outside the window. Love, sadness, empathy, affection, passion, nervousness, and even anger. Those emotions are captured in those small ceramic tea mugs we give our customers, and I feel that in a way it's what binds everyone together. That may be the reason why so many people come into our lovely cafe. She speaks in a soft tone, almost a whisper yet not a mumble. Her lavender orbs sparkle as it reflects the small flakes of snow from the outside. She didn't notice the blonde-haired man's stare nor the light sea ode of pink that graced his cheeks. This barista was really pretty, was the thought that crossed his mind. Jumping in surprise at how she was getting carried away again in talking about teas. Hinata faces the man and smiles nervously. Sorry about that, I seem to have gotten carried away. She uses her free hand to play with a lock of her hair. Shaking his head, the man smiles back at her. Not at all, it was fun listening to you. He admits as he looks at the mug in front of him. The liquid contained a milky cream color and it smelled quite pleasant that he almost didn't want to drink it, but he gazed once more at the young woman and stared at her. Her eyes looked at the tea hopeful, a finger lightly tapped the table almost gently. Her lips moved softly as she lightly bit her bottom lip. She was really wanting him to taste the tea, it appeared. He didn't want to disappoint her, and besides he owed her for causing her to burn herself when she was only being friendly, so he took the spoon and tired the liquid as he brought the cup to his lips. Giving out a soft blow, he takes the first sip as his eyes slowly close. Hinata stares at the man in anticipation as he continues to sip without saying a word. Normally her customers would have some sort of reaction by now. They'd give her a bright smile and saying something along the lines of, "This tea is amazing. I feel so much better." Or, "Man, that tea really calmed me down." But this mysterious blonde-haired man had no reaction at all. This is so nerve-wracking. How am I supposed to know if he's feeling well? Her thoughts are stopped when she sees tears start running down the sun-kissed skin. Horror found its way to Hinata's eyes. What could she have done wrong? Oh no. Please don't cry, sir. I'm terribly sorry. She starts to apologize frantically as the tears continue to fall off the man's still closed eyes. Their Roman chamomile tea has never brought a customer to the verge of tears before. This isn't what I wanted to happen. Hinata, you're so stupid. She argues with herself in her head as she tries to find a way to stop the man from crying. Her only thought was to quickly grasp his only free hand he had laid on the table. She's not sure what else to do. She's never been in such a situation before. Sir, are you okay? She asks even though she already knows that he's clearly not, but she's not sure how else to get his attention. She feels his hand move as she quickly removes it, seeing that he's now looking at her. His cerulean blue eyes radiate with the tears, making it look like a crystal almost. Hey, sorry about that, this tea sure does have magic powers. Magic powers? What do you mean? Hinata asks him as the man finishes the rest of the tea and sets down the cup on the table while taking a deep breath. When I took the first sip, it felt like someone was giving me a hug, he says, making Hinata even more confused. Hug. She's never heard that one before. Nodding, the man starts to play with the cup. His cheeks were a tad red in nervousness. He didn't want to weird the woman out, but he wanted to be honest with his feelings. It made me feel so warm inside, and before I knew it, I was overcome with emotions that I couldn't hold it in anymore. His voice was low and serious that Hinata knew he was being honest. Comfort. That's what he felt when he drank the tea. She concluded as she smiles at him and takes his hand once more. This time it catches the man off guard. I'm so glad that you were able to feel the comfort in the tea. You're gonna have some hard days, but I'm positive that eventually, you'll find yourself once again. Give it time, she says wholeheartedly. The man is mesmerized by this barista girl. How could she have prepared such a powerful tea that caused him to break down like that? He told her how he just got dumped and he's now sitting there starting to believe the things she's saying. She's a real mystery, he thinks as he smiles sincerely for the first time. You know, I think you're right. Moments pass and the Kuma Café was drawing to a close. The two hadn't realized that the only customer who remained was Mr. Mute, as Ino had referred him as. Man, it's that late already. The man takes out his phone to see the time. It was indeed 6 p.m. Hinata herself was shocked at how she hadn't noticed the time. She was too caught up in trying to help the man that she didn't continue icing her burnt hand as she as supposed to. I suppose we lost track of the time, she adds with a giggle. Just then Sakura and Ino walked up to the pair looking at the man. Although they didn't say a word, their eyes said something between the lines of, "You gonna pay or what?" Single quote. Ah, yay. Almost forgot. As if reading their death glares, the man pulls out his wallet and Hinata a few bills. Taking them and counting them in front of the man, her eyes go wide. Maybe he miscounted. Sir, this is too much. I can't accept this. She starts to say, but the man shakes his head, silencing her. Please do, you've done more than enough. Believe me, he says so honestly and with pleading eyes that the Hyuga girl can't resist complying. Thank you so much, sir, Hinata says with a smile and polite bow. The man bows back and extends his hand, curious lavender orbs looking into the cerulean bright ones. We never introduced ourselves. Name's Naruto Uzumaki and your name is. Taking his hand with her free one, Hinata replays that name in her head. Naruto, that sounds like a nice name. Hinata Hyuga, she says with a smile. Hinata, meaning sunny place, right? Naruto thinks while looking at her, then concluding. It fits her perfectly. Well, then Naruto was it, Sakura starts to say as she's popping her knuckles once more. Naruto looks at her and gulps in fear. We still need to close shop and you're in the way, so unless you leave politely I won't kick you out myself, she says with a threatening low. Okay, that Naruto gets the message perfectly and makes his way out the door. Sorry, I'll go now. He turns one last time and looks at Hinata. Thanks again, Hinata, I sure owe ya one. With that he leaves the cafe. The three girls stand in place, not moving, until Ino smirks and wraps an arm around Hinata. He said he owes ya one. Hear that, Hinata? She taunts. I know what you're thinking, Ino, in no way. Hinata walks away, not before Ino follows after her. Come on, Hinata. You heard him say it too. I know you did. Sakura watched her friends as she sighed and makes their way towards them. Girls, let's make fun of Hinata as we're picking up, shall we? Hinata pouts angrily at Sakura as she's wiping the chairs with only one functional hand. Not you too, Sakura. That night, just a few kilometers from Kuma Café, a set of apartments next to a beautiful lake. In one of the rooms stayed the mysterious man from earlier, Naruto Uzumaki. His apartment was rather big, not condo material, but it was still pretty nice, his room with walls coated in orange and black showing off his favorite colors. Laying on the bed while looking at a picture frame was where he lay. The picture frame was of him and Kanako, his now ex-girlfriend. Heart heavy and torn at the realization that he would no longer be able to see nor caress her as he has gotten so used to and loved to do so much. For a brief second his mind drifted from the heartbreak as he looked at his hand. The hand that he gave Hinata, the barista from today, while introducing himself. She was mysterious to him. How did she manage to get him to spill out so much information about himself with just a cup of tea? Hinata Hyuga, he says to no one in particular as he puts the frame back in its original spot and looks back in the ceiling, allowing his eyes to drift to a close. The hand that he gave Hinata, the barista from today, whilst introducing himself. She sure was a mystery to him. How was she able to get him to release so much information about himself with only a cup of tea? Hinata Hyuga, he says in a low mumble as he takes one last glance at the picture frame before setting it back to its original spot. He then looks at the ceiling as his eyes slowly start drifting to a close. Thank you for stopping by, come again. Hinata says with a smile as she hands the cash with the receipt to the customer as he walks out of the shop. Thanks again, he says as he closes the door behind him. Business resumed as normal in Kuma Café. Due to Hinata's minor injury, she decided to be a cashier tea prepper. Although she's upset that she's not able to make tips today, she enjoys time from the floor where she would have to speak nons. Top. Hinata, have you been icing that hand of yours at all? Ino asks to question as Hinata's face goes red in embarrassment. Well, the thing is, she starts to say. Ino leans toward her, waiting impatiently. Yes, she says. Well, Tama ate the ice pack I had, so I haven't had time to buy one. Hee, she adds with a nervous giggle as Ino glares at her. Seriously, Hinata, you're so hard-headed. Ino explains with a sigh as she palms her face. I promise that I'll buy one after work today, Hinata says with reassurance in hopes to get her friend to stop nagging her. You better, Ino adds as they continue about their day. Amid the customers coming in and out, Hinata couldn't help but think about one particular customer who made her day interesting yesterday. The blonde-haired man with sun-kissed skin came into their cafe after just being dumped, Naruto Uzumaki. He seemed to have looked better when he left, but she knows that the pain of the heart isn't something that leaves after a day or two. It may take him a while to get over it, just like it did with her. She was curious to know more about their relationship. How did they meet? How long were they together? Why did it end? She knows that it isn't her business to ask those personal questions since they literally just met, but as something about their encounter that wasn't normal, or so to say. Stop it, Hinata. That was just a one-time moment. She shakes away her thoughts knowing that there was a slim chance of ever running into Naruto again. I mean, he must have felt embarrassed in breaking down like that. Normally men don't cry in front of women since it hurts their pride. She would understand if that were to be the reason. Well, as long as he left the cafe with a smile, I did my part. The said girl concludes in her head. Hey Hinata. Her thoughts coming to an end as she hears Sakura yell out 2 orders of their regular bland-tasting diet tea. On the way now, Hinata heads to the back and starts preparing the tea. It's been a bit difficult in performing her daily tasks with only one functional hand, such as chopping up the fresh fruit for the crepes, and counting cash in the register, and even sometimes pouring the tea into the tea mugs. However, on the bright side, Hinata feels like she's developed a new talent. At least I can say I know how to do certain things with only one hand, she says to herself with a giggle as she takes the tray up to the front counter and rings the bell. Sakura. Orders are ready to go. Sakura comes up and with a thank you take the tray of teas to 2 women at a table. Looking around the cafe to make sure everything is running smoothly and there aren't any customers waiting to be served, Hinata heads back to the back counter to sit down for a few minutes. Sighing in relaxation and relief, she takes a look outside as she watches people come and go. Some were carrying gift bags, which meant that Christmas shopping was drawing a lot closer than she anticipated. She's not sure if she'll have enough money to buy gifts for people this year, even though she has a tiny circle of friends which consists of only Sakura and Ino, and her father. She wasn't to definitely get her father a gift this year. The question is, what would he want? Money sounds like the best solution, as a way of saying, thank you for him helping her in her studies, and maybe she'll buy him that new brand of cigars that just came out. Even though he swears that he doesn't smoke, she's positive that he does. Call it a daughter's intuition. Oh Hinata. With her thoughts interrupted once more, Hinata turns to see Sakura smiling at her. Her smile was of a child who knows a big secret and is trying super hard not to spill the beans. Was there something she was hiding? What's wrong, Sakura? She asks with a bit of worry. Come out here, you have a visitor. Ino's loud voice empowers Sakura as Hinata is left with even more confusion. A visitor? Who could be asking for her? It could be another customer trying to ask me out on a date again. I hate having to say no. She thinks as she goes, mentally prepared to break the poor old sap's heart. Now this old sap was more different than the rest. Why, you may ask. His blonde hair was a lot more cleaner today than it was on the first encounter. His skin was more cleaner and clearer. Cerulean eyes glistened under the light of the cafe. He was wearing some black sweats with red sneakers and had a black tank top with what looked like 9 red tails forming a spiral in the center, and lastly he had a black sweatshirt with orange on the sides. Hey Hinata, I'm glad that I was able to catch you here again. His voice was more upbeat and she took notice of how he has a deep voice but is kinda raspy in a way. It sounded cute. Hinata felt her cheeks go a tad pink as she's confused as to how he remembered her so quickly. Naruto was it? She asks hesitantly. She couldn't believe that Naruto was back again and this time asking for her. Yep. It's sweet of you to remember my name. He replies with a cheeky grin. Okay, so maybe this is real. Of course, I would. What brings you back to our lovely cafe? Feeling more comfortable again, Hinata asks him as she sees him scratch the back of his head and his cheeks flush. Was he not feeling well again? Behind the duo, Sakura and Ino watched from the counter as their smirks sent mental daggers to Hinata's head. He's gonna ask you out. Ino starts. No way. He just got dumped, remember? Hinata reminds her. Well, he should get over her. Clearly, he's interested in you since he's back here. Ino adds in. Ino, you're feeding way into this, he could just be thanking Hinata. Sakura chips in. Yes, I agree with Sakura. Single quote. You two are such buzzkills, Ino adds with a sigh. This causes Hinata to giggle out loud at her friend's silliness. She doesn't realize Naruto trying to get her attention. Nata, do you not want it? Quote. Blinking back into reality as she sees a bag being handed to her, she looks up at Naruto to see that his face looks a bit nervous. Was he giving her something? Is this for me? She asks as she looks at the bag. Naruto nods with a nervous smile. Yay, I mean if y'all want it, of course. Quote. Smiling thankfully, Hinata goes to grab the bag. For a brief minute their hands brush against each other. A bolt of electricity enters Hinata's body as she feels it travel everywhere. It surprised her that she quickly jerks her hand away with the bag. That was odd, it felt like a spark entered my body all of a sudden, she thinks as she takes a small glance back at Naruto. He's scratching the back of his head again and looking around the cafe. Did he feel the same thing as her just now? She decides that she could just be tired and brushed it off. Let's see what's inside, shall we? She says, trying to revert the brief awkward atmosphere to its original pleasantness. Opening the bag, she pulls out a medium-sized box along with a handband. Her lavender eyes widen as she's at lost for words. This is, she looks at Naruto in assistance. Taking the hint, Naruto chuckles as he looks at the ground more seriously this time. Well, I was still feeling pretty bad about your hands, so I went to the pharmacy and I have a great friend who works there and he recommended me tea. Oh, buy those things for burns, he says softly. Looking at the box which contained an ointment in where Hinata apply to the burned area twice a day and wrap the band around it. She smiles as she feels her heartbeat speed a bit. No one's ever really done something so thoughtful before. Naruto, I don't know what to say, she says softly as she looks back at him. Thank you so much, that was very sweet of you. She smiles at him warmly. Naruto's cheeks go red at reminding himself again of this girl's beauty. Her name really does suit her perfectly. Her smiles tend to be so warm. He thinks suddenly as he quickly shakes that thought away. Quickly regaining back his composure, Naruto coughs a bit and grins back at her. Yay, he also gave me a discount for it too. He adds in. Hopefully, he doesn't get a discount on the first date, if so then you dip out of there. Ino's comment enters Hinata's mind once more as she telepathically glares playfully at her. Ino. Single quote. You didn't have to go through the trouble though, Naruto. I feel kinda bad in a way. Hinata confesses with a nervous smile. Shaking his head, Naruto looks at the bag then back at her. And like I said yesterday, you've done more than enough. This is the least I can do. He replies with a grin. So, accept my good deed, will ya? Caught a bit off guard at the sudden outburst, Hinata giggles at his persistence and bows politely. If you say so, then I accept this gift. Thank you so much, Naruto, she says. Hee. No problem. I'm glad you like it. He replies with a cheeky grin. For whatever reason, Hinata wasn't sure why she found herself smiling so much. If her cheeks could fall off with how sore they are, then she's pretty positive that it will happen. Just a while ago, she was saying that their meet was a one-time moment in her life and he actually went out of his way to get her some ointment for her hand. Knowing that he took the time out of his day to get that made her feel pretty good inside. She wanted to ask him about how he was feeling since yesterday's events, but maybe that isn't the best place to talk about such personal and private things. As of now, it appears that he's doing a bit better since he's smiling as well. So, were you wanting to order something today, Naruto? Or maybe some time to eat? She asks after a bit. Shaking his head, Naruto scratches his cheek in a form of embarrassment. Maybe. I'd like to, but I have to get going. I need to be somewhere, but I wanted to give you this today for sure. He explains. So, that was his main goal even before continuing his day. That made Hinata feel embarrassed to know that he was thinking about her so much that he was gonna make sure he gave her the products. Hinata, calm down. It's not even that big of a deal. She tries to get her color back to her cheeks before Naruto or her friends notice anything. That's alright, Naruto. I'd like to thank you again. Be sure to stop by more often. Now she's not sure why she added that last part in the sentence. It just came out. Okay. You bet. Believe it. He says as he turns to head out of the cafe. Turning around one last time, he waves goodbye at Hinata and the two nosy girls at the counter before walking out. Hinata remains in place as a swarm of emotions enters her body. One of them being happiness. Pure happiness. Phew. That was sure close. Naruto, the mysterious man who just left Kuma Cafe, walked the streets of Konoha thinking about the events that led to that moment. When he woke up this morning, he still felt like major crap and the topic is a bit sensitive to him. He's checking his phone in hopes of Kanako texting him, and so far, nothing. But with that aside, he kept thinking about how someone could be so concerned for him like Hinata was. He's never had anyone worry about him so much less a stranger. He felt awful at how she ended up getting hurt because of him. So, he set out to get her something she could use to help ensure a fast recovery. He knows that ice helps, but he had overheard Ino nag at her for noticing it proper. Why? And also ice is messy. She could wet her clothes and all that junk. That's when he went to the pharmacy and decided to ask his friend for advice. At the pharmacy. Hey Naruto, how are you holding up? His friend asks him once he approached the counter. Okay, I guess, he says with a shrug and not wanting to talk about it. That's good. What can I do for you? He's asked. Yay. What's something that can heal burns? He asks him. His friend looks at him questionably as he looks at the blonde very carefully. You're not burnt, Naruto. Come on, Shikamaru. It's not even for me. He replies, piquing the interest of his friend. Oh, then who is it for? He asks. Naruto hates it when his friends question him. It's not like he's a kid who needs to be on a damn leash. He's 21 years old, for crying out loud. A friend, okay. Now can you help me or not? Question mark quote. Naruto argues as he's getting impatient. He's not even sure if Hinata is working today, so he doesn't want to risk missing her if she's about to be off. Troublesome. I got ya, follow me. Shikamaru sighs as he walks to an aisle. Grinning happily, Naruto makes his way to the aisle. Thanks, Shikamaru, you're the best. Troublesome. Hinata's smile kept playing on his head. She surely was very pretty and she seemed to be like a genuinely honest person. He chuckled at remembering how embarrassed she looked when she saw him show up. It must have been a shocker to her. Suddenly he felt himself remembering something similar to that event and his smile went lower and lower. Kanako, why can't you be like that? He whispers as he makes his way back to his destination. That night Hinata laid in bed as she petted Tama, who was spread across her chest. She stared at her bandaged hand as she found herself smiling suddenly. Naruto, you're such an interesting person. What else is there about you, I wonder? She says to herself as she wonders when the next encounter will be. Their meeting wasn't just a one-time thing anymore, is what both adults concluded. Naruto Uzumaki, you're such an interesting person. I wonder, what else is there about you? Hinata thinks this to herself out loud as she continues laying in her bed that night. Also, wondering when their next encounter shall be. Both concluded that their meeting wasn't just a one-time thing anymore. Tama, you ready to go, boy? Hinata asks the orange feline as he looks at her with less enthusiasm than her. Now come on, you know that you need fresh air. Don't you want to play with your other cat friends? She asks as she picks him up and stares at him. His dark chocolate-colored eyes narrow in annoyance at her, his purrs increasing more at the horrifying thought of going to the park. Today was Saturday, which meant that Hinata was off of work. The Kuma Café, however, continues to remain open since it's open 24 hours a week and Saturdays are where the money is made. The baristas take turns in alternating weekends off, and it so happens to be Hinata's weekend off. However, normally she prefers having off a weekday since most businesses are still open. Which is also why you're such a mature woman, Hinata, she says in a mocking tone of voice similar to Ino's. Her friends try to convince her to take weekends off and go outdoors instead of burying herself in books or asking her professors for extra credit. Which those extra credit essays really go a long way in her defense. Even so, she does understand that it's important to take a breather every now and then. This brings it back to the current event at hand. Just 10 minutes, Tama, is all I ask. You can do that, can you? Hinata pleads with puppy eyes and pouting her bottom lip. Tama stares at her in silence for a while and sighs deeply internally. Meow, he says, finally giving in. Smiling brightly with joy, the girl hugs her cat, pressing his face to her bosom. Tama, you're so good to me. I promise you'll have fun, she says. Meow. It was a beautiful day outside today. It had snowed the night before, so the streets were all coated in the white fluff of cotton. The sounds of coats rustling against the clothing of people, the laughter of children as they play in the snow and their parents yell at them to get out of the street. It brings joy to Hinata's heart to see everyone in such a good mood. The winter season always seemed to bring the villagers together in unison. Maybe because having fun and doing things together provided them warmth in a way. Everyone is sure lively today, the girl says to herself as she makes her way to her desired destination. Just a few blocks down appeared the sign informing Hinata that she had arrived. Gamabunta Animal Park. Read the sign. The name of this park came in an old Konoha tale of this humongous frog that used to be seen in the land. He would keep the park clean from any clutter, and some even say that T.S. was the first and only frog who smoked cigars. There's some stigma regarding this tale, and some villagers even say that they've spotted two little frogs even though no one's openly seen them in decades. To Hinata, this seems like a cute fairy tale that they tell kids so that they can bring their pets to the park. The bright side to it is it was made, hence the name it was given, humongous. Trees everywhere, a swing set with a slide, a seesaw, jungle gym, sandbox, and a slide. Most people use this park for recreational activities as well, such as walking, running, and adult sports. This park also has various cat towers and litter boxes to provide the ultimate feline entertainment. Not only that, but a baseball diamond and a basketball court are all present for the furry reachers of Konoha. Gamabunta Animal Park is the only park that welcomes both cats and dogs. Making her way to her regular spot, which was in the back corner by a pond that the park also happens to have for entertainment, Hinata sat down while holding Tama still. She watches all the other animals play around the park and interact with one another. All right, Tama, go and play now, Hinata says as she puts Tama to the ground. Tama looks at her, then towards his back where the other creatures lie, then back at her. Meow. If one could understand cat, then it would be translated to along the lines of, "Are you kidding me? Now Tama, no need to be shy, just go to that tower over there to start. There seems to be no one on it, just to get some fresh air." Hinata pleads as she points to a tall, big, and gray cat tower that appeared to be vacant. Seeing that he could enjoy his own time, Tama was much agreeable as he hesitantly made his way towards the tower. Sighing in content and relief, Hinata sits back down as she watches Tama to ensure he's staying safe. Tama is a Norwegian forest cat. His long, glossy, and woolly hair provided comfort in the climate changes. His fur was an orange milk color to it, with a strong build and a large body, which is a bit more than the average cat. Normally cats like him are very outgoing, adventurous, and social. Tama, however, is a special case. He does go out, but he keeps his distance from other animals, snuggles with Hinata, and sits on the rooftop are the things that seem to be most interesting to him. This is not a bad thing for Hinata, she just would like Tama to have a friend to play with. I hope Tama makes a friend, It must be lonely whenever I'm at work, the girl says to herself as she takes a look at her hand, which is now completely healed. Her eyes soften as a cheeky smile graces her lips. She's still greatly thankful for Naruto's gift. Even though it was only ointment, it touched her heart that he went out of his way to get it. He's a quite interesting guy, she says as she feels her cheeks heat up a bit, which she quickly shakes her head. What's wrong with me? It's not that big of a deal, he was just being friendly is all. She convinces herself as she wonders what he could possibly be doing. I hope he's doing okay though. Her thoughts are cut short when she hears a familiar hiss. Tama. Hinata looks up at the cat tower to see that Tama isn't there. With a bit of worry, she starts looking around the park for the feline. Tama, where are you? She calls out for him. By the sound of his hiss, it most likely means that there's another cat that's threatening his play area. Hinata just hopes that he doesn't go for the attack until she gets there. So much for a pleasant day at the park, she says, disappointed. Finally locating the cat by another cat tower next to a baseball ring, she's caught off when she sees that the other animal in front of Tama is not another but a dog. Brown thick fur hair coated his medium-sized body, bloody red eyes looked curiously as its black button nose twitched at the scent of Tama's shampoo, which smelled like lavender and rosewater. His triangular ears were up and erect at listening to the sound of Tama's hiss. His neck had a black collar with small red spiral symbols that looked almost like 9 tails. That symbol looks familiar. She thinks as she makes her way toward the pair, and her eyes go wide at how adorable the dog is. Tama, what's all the fuss about? Is it this dog? She kneels toward the animal's level as she pets Tama's head. I don't think this dog is wanting to hurt you, he may just want to play with you. Hinata looks at the dog as his tail is wagging nonstop and leans in to sniff her hand. Giggling, Hinata uses her hand to pet the furry creature. You're so cute. What's your name? She asks him as the dog looks at her with his big red eyes, giving her hand a loving lick. Tama hisses in jealousy as he snuggles toward the girl a little closer. Now Tama, he seems like a friendly dog. Maybe he wants to play with you, she tells her feline companion. Her response was met with another and much louder hiss. Kurama. The dog stops at his tracks and turns around, giving a loud bark and wagging his tail a lot faster. And a figure makes his way toward them, and Hinata feels like the world is starting to mess with her. Wearing a dark gray hoodie and some black jeans with black sneakers and the well-known blonde hair messier than normal due to the heavy wind that's currently blowing in the park stood Naruto. His eyes go wide as if he too is starting to question the world. He honestly wasn't expecting to see her. Naruto. Hinata asks just to verify if her eyes are still functioning. He grins at her as he waves a hand up. Hey Hinata. This sure is a surprise, he says as he kneels to her level and the dog jumps on him, licking his face. I see you've already met Kurama here. He's so cute, Hinata adds as both pet Kurama on the head. The dog breathes heavily as he leans to both the adults' touch. He's my little buddy, Naruto says as he takes a look at the girl in front of him. Just as Hinata was having some thoughts before their encounter, Naruto also found himself thinking about her today. He'd hoped that her hand was a lot better, which he's relieved to see that it looks like so. It was the first time he's seen her without her work uniform, and he couldn't help but be in awe. She wore an olive green sweatshirt with olive green sweatpants with tan sneakers, and her hair was up in a pony tail, and she wore some diamond stud earrings. She looked really beautiful. Ruto. His thoughts come to an end as he sees that Tama is now hissing at him while cautiously touching his hand. Hey, little guy. His loud voice scares Tama into jumping to Hinata's lap. Sighing, she rubs the top of his head. Sorry about that. Tama is a bit of an introvert, she informs us, that seemed to not faze Kurama as inching closer to Tama and taking the open opportunity and giving him a lick. Meow. Yelling out loudly, Tama jumps out of Hinata's lap and makes his way towards the nearest tree. Tama. Hinata yells out, annoyed, as Naruto mainly laughs. Kurama is a lover by nature, he explains, petting his dog. I can see that, she replies. Moments later, the pair make their way to a nearby bench. Kurama and Tama were both in front of their viewpoints playing. Which by playing it meant Kurama trying to play and Tama keeping distance. It looks like your hand is all better now, Naruto says after a moment of silence. Nodding, Hinata smiles at him. Yes, it is. Thank you again for the ointment, she says. Hee. Hey, it's no trouble, Naruto adds as he scratches his head in embarrassment. The two sit and watch their pets with the lovely falling of snow. Hinata takes a deep breath as she musters up the courage to ask something she's been meaning to ask. Naruto, can I ask you something? Looking at the girl in curiousness, the blonde-haired man nodded in allowing her to continue. How are you holding up? You know, after, she starts to say but stops when her mind starts telling her that it's not her place. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be asking such a personal question, she says quickly in hoping that she didn't offend Naruto in any way. It's okay, Hinata, you don't have to apologize. Naruto says softly. He looks at his hands as he sighs lowly. Some days are harder than others, you know. Almost like a dream in a way. He starts to say. Hinata nods at him, giving him her undivided attention. I understand, she says. Like I thought he starts to say as he scratches his head in frustration. I thought we were happy. I was happy, he says as he's now looking towards the scenery. How did you two meet? Hinata asks him as around this time Tama and Kurama came and relaxed with their parents. We were high school sweethearts. I did every corny trick in the book to get her to be my girlfriend, he adds with a chuckle. Hinata also smiled, empathizing with him. When I asked her out during our sophomore year and she said yes, that was the best day of my life. I thought that we would be together forever. His smile starts fading. But now that I think back, I remember noticing how she wasn't talkative with me anymore. It sometimes felt like she was annoyed by my presence. Hinata doesn't say anything but lets him continue. He needs to let it all out. I thought that once we talked it out everything was fine. I told her if I needed to change then I would. I was willing to change anything for her. I see. Hinata adds as she rubs Tama's head, who's starting to doze off in her lap. Hey, I guess she just got bored with me. Maybe I wasn't the grown adult she needed. I just hope she's doing okay. He explains as he is also rubbing Kurama's head. There's silence between the two. Hinata looks at Naruto and she sees that he's still pretty hurt about the situation. How long were you two together? She asks him after a moment. For 5 years. That's longer than what her relationship with Kiba was. No wonder he's so torn from it. I'm truly sorry, Naruto, she says. Hey, no, it's not okay. Hinata's voice cuts him off. It's not okay knowing that you've given your whole heart and being to someone and it's not enough. That you've sacrificed so many years of your life to just that one person who you thought was worth it, she says as she starts to reminisce about her past. You reply scenarios over and over and try to pinpoint where it all started to go wrong, thinking maybe you screwed up and ruined everything. It's honestly not your fault. In a heat of the moment, she takes Naruto's hand, catching him off guard. Don't blame yourself for what happened. Sometimes love just isn't enough for some people. And we need to just wish them luck and learn to move on. She feels her eyes wet but tries to hold in the tears. Meanwhile, Naruto, he's shocked at how a girl with such a soft voice could raise her vocals that way. Secondly, he's taken off guard at her words and how she's sympathizing with him. The way she's speaking is as if it's through experience. Somehow the idea of someone hurting Hinata made him very angry. Hey, you know you're a strange one, Hinata, he says with a chuckle. This makes Hinata feel like if she was creeping him out in a way. She asks, and her heart skipped a beat when she felt his hand tighten his grip. But I really like you, you know, he says with a cheeky grin. Her heart was beating uncontrollably as soon as Naruto said those words, and at that moment she quickly removed her hand and looked towards the ground. Her cheeks go red as she's unsure why her heart was racing that way. Hinata, calm down, she yells to herself as she regains her composure. For a bit. Thank you, Naruto. I like you too. It really helps to work as a barista sometimes. You quickly get into character. Looks like someone fell asleep, he says, motioning to Tama, who is passed out. He's done for the day. Giggling, Hinata stands up and holds onto Tama like a baby. Guess we'll be heading back then, she says as Kurama walks to her, wagging his tail at her. Bye, Kurama. It was a pleasure meeting you, she says, giving his head a loving pat. He really does like you. You seem to have that effect on anyone, he says with a smirk, causing Hinata to turn red for the second time that day. I believe so, she says with a smile. Well, I hope to see you again, Hinata, he says once more before he and Kurama turn to leave as well. Same here, Hinata adds with a wave. As nighttime is drawing near, Hinata makes her way back home as she thinks about what Naruto had said to her. And how her body reacted to it. I really like you, you know. Single quote. That simple phrase, which obviously meant nothing, caused her to react in the same way as when she was crushing on Kiba. Hinata stops walking as she places her free hand on her hot cheek. Oh no, what's wrong with me? Quote. That simple, mostly meaningless phrase could cause her to react in such a way, highly resembling the way she felt when she was crushing on her ex Kiba. Hinata stops walking as she places her cold hand on her hot cheek. Oh no, what's wrong with me? Ino, I think you may be overacting. Hinata had of course mentioned to her friends how she coincidentally ran into Naruto yesterday at the park. Which Ino of course believes that maybe it wasn't just both being at the same place. He's stalking you, Ino adds in as she's wiping down the table. Everyone goes to the park, Ino, Sakura mentions along with Hinata, who nods in agreement. Even if he isn't stalking you, I'd say it's destiny. Ino chimes in with a singing voice when mentioning the word, destiny. Rolling her eyes, Hinata continues brooming the floor as her thoughts drift afar. It isn't a big deal that she's run into the handsome blonde a few times already. Her cheeks heat up at thinking handsome, well, he obviously is, but still. Everyone had just decided to go to the park that day, so it's perfectly explainable, and also, he still needs time to recover from his breakup. It may take a while. A smile graces her lips at remembering the cute dog that he had. What was his name again? Oh, Kurama. I do hope I get to see him again, he's so cute and he could be a great friend to Tama. She thinks joyfully. Today was one of Kuma Café's slower days, which sometimes Hinata doesn't mind since she's able to do some schoolwork for her classes. Most of them are extra credit work. It's not like she's falling in her classes, she's passing them all with straight A's. She's just wanting to raise her GPA as much as possible to help her resume. Employers look into great detail those sorts of things, you know. Eventually, it may be time to start looking for some internships around Konoha's center district, but then it'll be leaving Kuma Cafe or going part-time in. It honestly saddens Hinata since she won't be able to make tea anymore. Nada, are you listening? A paper towel wrapped in a ball is thrown to Hinata's face, catching her attention. She looks at Ino and Sakura, who were smirking at her teasingly. Oh no, what could it be this time? Were you thinking about a certain someone there, Hinata? Ino asks mockingly. Sighing in annoyance, the dark-haired girl makes her way toward. If you must know, I was thinking about doing some assignments for school today. She defends. Well, before you go, we need to talk about lunch. Sakura adds in. What about lunch? Ino asks. One of us has to do the lunch run today. Sakura explains. Well, it's not me, I have assignments to do. Hinata retorts back. You don't have to do it, you just want to do it. It's a difference. Ino mutters under her breath. Scrunching her nose up a bit at Ino's remark, Hinata looks at Sakura, expecting her to add into Ino's smart remark. Sakura just shrugs her shoulders. How about we draw a straw and whoever has the shortest is the lucky gal to get lunch for us? She says as she grabs 3 straws and puts them in a styrofoam cup and shakes it up. Sounds like a good idea. Ino adds as all 3 girls stand in front of Sakura and each of them grabs a straw. All right girls, we ready? Sakura asks. Yep. Ino and Hinata both say in unison. Taking a deep breath, Sakura looks at her friends and begins the countdown. On 3 we pull. 3, 2, and 1. The girls pull out the straws and take a look at their object. Eyes revert from one set to the other set. It's quiet until an audible and lowly frustrated sigh is heard. Ah man. Walking through the streets of Konoha wearing her beige fuzzy coat with her black fuzzy gloves with her black beige fuzzy beanie on top was the tea-loving barista Hinata. Man, and here I wanted to do some extra work too, she says sadly. She then thinks that she could have some time after work. No, Tama won't let me study in peace, she concludes. This is all Ino's fault for jinxing me, she thinks somewhat angrily. Seeing as it's no use crying over what's been already done, Hinata decides to think of a good lunch for her and her friends. I wonder what they would want to eat. She thinks aloud. Crunch time is crucial and there seems to be a lot of people out today, so most places may have long lines. She passes by other cafes along her way and various quick stop shops, but nothing seems to catch her attention. Suddenly an intoxicating smell enters her nostrils and stops her in her tracks. She looks around in search of where the smell is coming from. Something smells so good, she says in a trance. From up ahead, Hinata comes to the destination of that wonderful smell. A vending machine with pictures of various ramen using a touchscreen panel. Next to it stood a window opening with fresh ramen sitting on the countertop. A ramen restaurant vending machine this is. Looking towards the sign, Hinata looks at the name of the place. Ikikuru Ramen Stop, huh? She thinks as she sees a pretty decent line forming. Ramen does sound good and this weather is perfect for it. Hinata takes out her phone and dials Sakura's number. It rings. Hey, Hinata. Sakura's voice appears out. Hey girls. What do you guys think about ramen for lunch? Hinata asks. That sounds fine with me, Sakura adds. That's perfect. Ino. Make mines with extra vegetables. Ino chimes in. Actually, Hinata, make sure you get Ino some tofu too while you're at it, Sakura says in a mocking tone. Ha, fine with me. If anything, you should try it so that maybe you may grow a pair of tits. Ino snorts back along with a chuckle. Shut up, Ino pig. What did you say? Billboard brow. Ino pig. Billboard brow. In. Hinata hangs up the phone knowing that both girls weren't gonna stop anytime soon. She makes her way towards the vending machine, inhaling the wonderful scent as it's too close for her to resist. Yes, she made the right choice for ramen. Looking at her options on the screen in front of her, Hinata already knows what she's gonna get. She ordered 2 miso ramen bowls and then another miso ramen bowl, with extra veggies of course. Using her debit card to enter her payment into the amount slot. After a few seconds, 3 food tickets come out of the machine. Taking those tickets, she then stands in line waiting to give her order to the worker. She looks around and sees everyone doing their own thing, whether it be shopping or eating. She wonders about what her friends were talking about earlier today. It's perfectly normal to meet the same person 3 times in a row, right? Naruto isn't the type to be a stalker, is he? Then again, she doesn't know much about him, to begin with, except what he's told her, which is only regarding his breakup. Based on their conversation yesterday at the park, he still has a hard time getting over it and she sympathizes with him. Completel. Why, I really like you, you know. Her cheeks flush a shade of pink in remembering those words again. Why did she have that reaction? It was almost as if she was crushing on Naruto. Her eyes go wide as she quickly erases that phrase from her brain cells. No, absolutely not, Hinata. That's not a good idea at all, she says to herself. She shouldn't be crushing on a guy who just got heartbroken, it wasn't right. For some reason, he feels comfortable in talking out his feelings. Maybe all he needs is a friend who's willing to listen. And we may not even see each other again. I mean, everyone goes to the park on weekends and today is Tuesday, so there's no way. Next in line. Her thoughts are interrupted as she makes her way toward the counter and hands out her ticket, and then a very familiar voice echoes out. A sun-kissed hand touches her ticket, but neither one releases the paper. Welcome to Ichiraku Ramen, what can I get? The voice stops. Lavender eyes double in size and her mouth forms an O shape as she feels her cheeks warm up, and it's not due to the cold weather outside. Lord Kami, I'm gonna have to stop mentioning him so much cause it's like. Meanwhile, Cerulean eyes widened as his hand is still holding onto the tickets and his thoughts seem to about resemble Hinata's. It's like every time I think about her, she just appears. Both adults stare at one another in silence, neither knew what to really say since they were too busy debating in their thoughts. Finally breaking the silence seeing as they're in a different setting than they were while in the par. Hinata, if I didn't know any better I'd think you're stalking me. Naruto says teasingly with a grin. Face as red as a tomato. Hinata stumbles on her words in reassuring the blonde that it's definitely not as he thinks. I would never. Why you see it's just we just happen to. She stops rambling on when Naruto laughs and she's surprised as she's never heard his laugh before. His laugh is really nice, she thinks before slapping herself mentally. Stop Hinata. Now's not the time for that. I'm just joking. It's a surprise seeing you here. He says. Me. I could say that about you. Do you work here? Hinata asks as she takes a look at his uniform. He wore a black undershirt with a black and red striped apron which had the name of the stop in the top right corner, and he wore a red visor cap with a ramen bowl logo on the right side. Yeah, well, not full-time. My parents just wanted me to have a better understanding of money. His eyes slant close as he adds two fingers quotation at the mention of understanding. Which I do, but at least working here gets them off my hair on that subject. He says with a grin. I feel you on that. My dad wants me to work so I could stop asking him for money. Hinata adds with a giggle on her own. Parents, man. Naruto says once more as they both exchange laughter. It wasn't until a much older and more raspy voice called from behind Naruto. Naruto, less flirting and more working now. Yes, old man Tuki. Naruto yells back as he looks at Hinata and grins. Sorry about that, Hinata. Oh, not at all. Hinata says back as she shakes out her in reassurance. He takes the ticket and looks at Hinata and decides to ask her. Is this for here or to go? He asks as he catches himself looking at her from head to toe. Her coat made her look really cute, and that fuzzy adorable beanie on top of her head. Light red coated her cheeks and her nose from the cold weather. She looks really cute like that, he can't help but think. It's to go, please, Hinata says with a smile. Nodding, Naruto excuses himself to go and prepare the ramen. As he's preparing, Hinata tries to calm down her beating heart while taking mental deep breaths. This is obviously a coincidence. I mean, it's not like it's destiny or anything, she reassures herself. She already knows how the girls are gonna react when she gets back to the cafe. Maybe it's best not to mention it. Ino will be sure to never let her breathe in peace if she does. Hey, Hinata. Jumping a bit since she was in too deep into her thoughts, she looks back up to see the ramen bowls inside a brown bag. I made him nice and hot for ya too. Naruto adds proudly with a grin. Thank you, Naruto. Hinata says with a smile as she takes the bag. Both adults remain silent and not sure how to depart once again. Remembering that she is holding up the line still, Hinata looks at Naruto and with a sympathizing smile says, try not to work too hard now. She takes a few steps back and Naruto winks at her, causing her to blush. I need to if I'm trying to be like you. He says with a smirk. Trying to calm down her beating heart, Hinata giggles as she waves goodbye and starts making her way back towards Kuma Café. All the while thinking back to the previous event that happened seconds ago. This is only a coincidence. I mean, of course he was bound to have a job and the chances of it being around Kuma Café were quite high. Seems pretty reasonable, right? Ino and Sakura are definitely not to find out about this.